Welcome to the Quick Wisdom Catalyst Blueprint.
Okay, so what if I told you that in the next few minutes, you could unlock simple, really powerful behaviors to make anyone instantly like you, truly trust you, and genuinely remember you? Today, we're not talking about, personality overhaul or pretending to be someone you're not. This deep dive is all about mastering specific, powerful communication techniques, and we're drawing from Leil Lowndes' incredible book, How to Talk to Anyone, 92 Little Tricks for Big Success in Relationships. Honestly, it feels kind of like a social superpower manual to me.
It absolutely is. Yeah, and our mission for this deep dive, it's really to distill the most impactful of Lowndes tricks into, let's say, an actionable blueprint for you listening. And just to be clear, this isn't about manipulation, right? It's about understanding human connection, making people feel genuinely comfortable, interesting, and valued when they're talking to you. Master these, and you'll find doors opening, both in your professional life and, your personal interactions too.
I've definitely felt that knot in my stomach walking into a room full of strangers.
Yeah.
We've all been there, right? And then that awkward moment when the conversation just fizzles out, or you just can't seem to make a lasting impression. Or maybe you struggle to get past that surface level small talk.
Yeah.
Lowndes really tapped into these universal pain points, didn't she? Her insights are like pure gold.
Absolutely. She really understood that many of us, we simply haven't been given the user manual for social interaction. But the good news is, and this is key, these are skills. They're not innate talents you're either born with or not.
Okay, so let's kick off with our first big idea then. The unseen power of first impressions. The truth is, people judge quickly, like really quickly. We're talking within the first 10 seconds, maybe even less. And here's the kicker. Your nonverbal cues, your body language, often speak way louder than your first words. The goal here isn't just looking good. It's projecting both warmth and confidence. Those two together, they automatically build trust.
Exactly. And the first technique here, actually one of my favorites from the book, is what Lowndes calls the flooding smile. It's not just an instant grin. There's a subtle art to it. You pause, just for a beat, make direct eye contact, and then let a warm, slow smile kind of spread across your face. It should feel like it's flooding your whole being, really reaching your eyes. We definitely recommend practicing this, maybe in a mirror, just to see its genuine effect.
That delayed, warm smile.
Yeah.
It sounds so simple, but why is it so incredibly powerful? Like, what's happening psychologically when someone experiences that?
All right, well, it leverages something called emotional contagion. When we see genuine, targeted emotion in someone else, we tend to mirror, or at least feel it. That slight pause before the smile, it actually makes the effect even stronger because it signals, hey, I'm genuinely happy to see you, specifically. It makes the other person feel special, truly seen, not just another face in the crowd you're generically smiling at. Imagine greeting a new client, maybe a potential colleague. Instead of that instant, maybe automatic grin, you hold their eye contact, pause slightly, and then let that warm smile blossom. The impact, it's immediate, it's profound, creates an instant connection.
I'll admit, I felt a bit silly practicing the flooding smile in the mirror first. But the first time I consciously used it, like at a networking event, the difference in the other person's reaction was, wow, palpable. It really shifted the energy. Okay, following that, we have this powerful duo, sticky eyes and epoxy eyes. Sticky eyes, that's for when the other person is speaking. You maintain eye contact as if your eyes are, literally glued to theirs. And then there's epoxy eyes, which is more for group settings. Let's say you're in a group, someone else is talking. You consciously keep holding eye contact with the person you want to connect with for maybe a few seconds longer than usual, even after the main speaker is finished or the conversation moves on.
Yeah, and the why here is just critical. Sticky eyes convey deep interest, respect. It makes the speaker feel genuinely heard, important. This isn't just about politeness, It taps into our primal need to feel seen, understood. Our brains are kind of hardwired to interpret sustained, non-aggressive eye contact as genuine engagement. It creates this powerful sense of connection, trust that words alone often just can't achieve. And epoxy eyes, they make someone in a group feel like, oh, they're particularly interested in my opinion or my insights, even if they haven't said much. It's an incredibly subtle but really effective way to create an opening for a future, maybe more direct connection.
But I have to ask, where's the line between that subtle signal and maybe potentially unsettling stare with epoxy eyes? How do you gauge their comfort?
Right, that's a great question. It's definitely all about nuance. It's not about an intense, unblinking stare, okay? That would be weird. It's more of a soft, lingering gaze that says, I'm acknowledging you, not I'm fixated on you. The key is to briefly hold that eye contact, maybe just a second or two longer than feels strictly necessary, and then gently break it, maybe with a slight nod or a very subtle smile back. You have to read their body language too, of course. Look for a reciprocal acknowledgement, maybe even just a tiny twitch of a smile that's crucial to avoid any awkwardness. Think about being at that networking event again. A colleague tells a story to a small group, and you make eye contact with someone standing next to them, holding it just that tiny bit longer. When the story finishes, that person might instinctively turn to you, ready to engage, because you've already sent that subtle signal of interest. And tying right into that powerful body language, we have the swiveling neck. This one's great. When you're introduced to someone new, don't just offer a quick handshake while your body stays kind of rigid, maybe still facing the person who introduced you. No. Instead, consciously turn your entire body, your shoulders, your chest, even point your toes towards them. You physically pivot, adopt an open, welcoming stance.
Yeah. Your body language speaks volumes before you even say a word, doesn't it? This physical pivot, it instantly makes you appear more engaged, more open, completely focused on them. It basically screams interest. So when you're introduced to Sarah, you don't just do the quick handshake and turn back. You physically pivot toward Sarah, offer that open stance. She immediately feels that increased level of engagement. And these initial nonverbal cues, they're just foundational for breaking the ice effectively. Okay, so we've nailed that crucial first impression. We've got them leaning in, feeling acknowledged. But what happens after the handshake? How do we keep that momentum going? How do we become the person others naturally gravitate towards in a conversation? Let's dive into our second big idea, becoming a magnetic conversationalist. And this isn't about being the wittiest person in the room or having all the answers. It's really about being genuinely engaging, the goal. Make the other person feel interesting and valued. Shift the focus away from your own anxieties and onto their experience.
Absolutely. And a simple yet profoundly effective way to start doing this is by using their name. Immediately after you learn someone's name, say it back to them. Then find at least one other natural moment, maybe in the next few minutes, to use their name again. Lowndes even suggests visualizing their name on their forehead as you're talking. It sounds a bit funny, but it works. It's not just a courtesy, it's like a cognitive anchor.
Yeah, the power of a person's name.
Universal, right?
It's supposed to be the sweetest sound in any language. Using it shows you actually listened, you value them, you remember them, creates instant warmth, that personal connection. So if someone says, "Hi, I'm Alex," you can respond, "Nice to meet you, Alex. So Alex, what brings you here tonight?"
See how natural yet impactful that feels, like a little verbal hug. Okay, another brilliant technique, especially for keeping the conversation flowing when you're maybe momentarily stumped for a question.
Yeah.
It's called echoing, or sometimes the parroting technique. Basically, when someone said something interesting, you just repeat the last 2 or 3 words they said, but crucially with an upward questioning inflection. This is surprisingly simple, yet incredibly effective. It encourages them to elaborate without you having to scramble for a brand new question right away. It makes them feel heard, and it naturally prompts them to share more detail. For example, if someone says, "I went hiking in the mountains last weekend," you could just respond with, "In the mountains." Which of them? "Yeah, the Rockies. The views were just incredible." Incredible. And just like that, the conversation continues pretty effortlessly.
But I'm curious, does parroting ever risk sounding a bit, I don't know, repetitive? Or maybe even disingenuous if you don't do it right?
That's a totally valid concern. And it really comes down to the delivery being natural. It shouldn't sound like you're literally just repeating words like a robot or, well, a parrot. It's the upward inflection, maybe a slight pause, and the genuine interest showing in your eyes. That's what makes it work. It's an invitation to elaborate, not a challenge. Now, if you overdo it, or you do it without that underlying curiosity, yeah, then it can definitely fall flat. So use it as a gentle nudge, kind of a bridge to their next thought. Sparingly, perhaps. Okay, building on that idea of effortless flow, we have the never-ending story, which involves using what Lowndes calls mini-facts. The idea is you basically never run out of things to say because you're constantly finding small, intriguing details in whatever the other person just mentioned, and using those little details as springboards for your follow-up questions. This really means being what she calls a swiveling spotlight, focusing fully on them.
Right. These are subtle but really powerful ways to keep the conversation going without feeling like you have to carry the entire weight of it. It shows genuine interest, and it definitely helps avoid those awkward moments of dead air. So if they say, "I just got back from a trip to Italy," you can bond with Italy. "Wow, what part did you visit?" Or maybe, "Oh, I've always wanted to go to Italy. What was your favorite food there?" You're letting their words guide the next question. That's really key to being a magnetic conversationalist. Then there's the great indifferenter. This is for that inevitable question, right? "So what do you do?" No. Instead of launching straight into your job title or detailed description, you give a slightly vague but maybe intriguing answer, and then you immediately pivot back to them. Ask what they do with genuine curiosity.
Yeah, the psychology here is fascinating. Most people, let's be honest, find talking about themselves far more interesting than listening to someone else drone on about their job. So by being slightly indifferent to your own role initially and quickly shifting the spotlight to theirs, you give them the opportunity to shine. And they'll naturally associate that good feeling with you. For instance, if someone asks, "So what do?" You might reply, "Oh, I help people unlock their potential through learning. It's really interesting stuff. What about you? What kind of work are you passionate about?"
See? It instantly flips the script. It ensures they feel valued and heard first. I remember once I was at a family gathering and an aunt started drilling me about my job. I used this, pivoted back, and suddenly she was telling me all about her prize-winning petunias for like 10 minutes. It was fantastic, actually. Worked like a charm.
Okay, but what if your job is genuinely fascinating? Or maybe it's directly relevant to the conversation. How do you balance that indifferent approach with, authentic sharing?
Yeah.
That's a perfect point. Yeah. Indifferent doesn't mean secretive forever, right? It's really about the sequence. Give them the spotlight first. Let them share. Once they've shared and they feel heard, they'll often return the question with even more genuine interest. That's your cue to share a bit more. But still, maybe keep it concise and engaging. It's about building reciprocity, not hoarding the conversation or information. And then, to really build that deeper rapport, that connection, we have Barefoot in the Park. This technique is all about listening intently, not just for facts, but for shared experiences, interests, or especially feelings. When you find one, gently mention it. You create a shared vulnerability or just a common ground connection. It often involves echoing their emotions, not just their words.
Humans bond so strongly over common ground, don't we? When you can connect on a level deeper than just superficial facts, rapport builds really rapidly. It shows you truly understand, you empathize. For example, if someone says, "This project has been incredibly challenging. I've been working late all week." Instead of just saying, "Oh, that's tough," you could respond with something like, "Ooh, I completely understand that feeling. I've had a few weeks like that recently myself." It can be absolutely exhausting, right? You're connecting on the feeling of exhaustion there. That's incredibly powerful. Creates instant camaraderie. Okay, our final big idea today is all about leaving a memorable and lasting impression. Because the end of a conversation, it's just as important as the beginning, maybe more so sometimes. It's that final note that dictates whether they'll want to talk to you again, whether you'll actually linger in their memory. This is where you solidify the connection you've built.
Precisely. And for this, we have the little-known fact exit. Such a good one. Before you end a conversation and part ways, mentally recall one specific, unique detail you learned from them during your chat. Then, as you say goodbye, briefly mention that detail. This isn't just being polite, it's a really powerful psychological anchor.
Yeah, this simple act shows you genuinely listened, you valued their input, and you'll remember them for something specific, not just as that person I had a generic chat with. Makes you incredibly memorable. So, as you're wrapping up with Alex, you might say, "It was really great talking to you, Alex. I'll definitely remember what you said about the best way to ferment sourdough. I've always wondered about that." That resonates because you've actually proven you heard them. And for building on that, for future interactions, there's the encore technique. This is where, for subsequent interactions with someone, you recall something specific they told you last time and bring it up.
This is such a powerful way to build credibility and demonstrate that your relationships deepen with consistency. It makes them feel truly remembered, truly valued, not just like a fleeting acquaintance. It's a subtle form of social validation, really. Imagine bumping into someone a week later and saying, "Hey, how's that project going you mentioned last time?" Or, "Did you ever get a chance to try that new restaurant you were talking about?" It shows genuine care. It shows they're more than just a face you met once. And finally, for sort of long-term maintenance of these connections, Lowndes suggests using a relationship journal or maybe a business card memory hack. The idea is simple. Keep quick notes on people you meet, their interests, maybe family details, goals, even a quirky anecdote they shared. Do it immediately after the interaction if you can. If you exchange business cards, just jot a quick note directly on the back of it.
Oh, that's crucial. Absolutely crucial for building and maintaining a strong network over time. It allows you to make those future light touches, like a quick LinkedIn comment or maybe an email follow-up, incredibly personal and impactful. It ensures you don't forget those crucial details that make the connection real. So after meeting Sarah at an event, you might look at her card later and jot down, "Loves vintage photography, mentioned her trip to Patagonia, works with nonprofits." This makes any future follow-up so much more powerful, so much more authentic. Okay, so what does this all mean? We've covered a lot of ground, but the beauty of these insights from Leil Lowndes is how actionable they are. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're concrete behaviors you can actually start implementing today. So here are 7 concrete tips you can try, starting right now, to transform your interactions.
Okay, first, smile slowly, not instantly. Let that warm, slow smile spread across your face after making eye contact. Makes it feel genuinely directed at them. Remember the flooding smile.
Second, hold eye contact just a second longer. Whether they're speaking with sticky eyes or you want to connect with someone specific in a group of epoxy eyes, it just conveys deep interest.
Third, ask open-ended questions instead of just, "How are you?" Shift the focus to them immediately. Try something like, "What's keeping you busy these days?" Or, "What's been the most interesting thing you've worked on recently?"
Fourth, repeat their last few words. Use that upward inflection, to parrot them gently. It subtly encourages them to elaborate and keeps the conversation flowing effortlessly. That's echoing.
Fifth, give specific compliments. Focus on an action, an insight, maybe a clear explanation they gave rather than just generic praise. Like, "I really admire how you explained that concept so clearly. It finally clicked for me."
Sixth, use people's names naturally and often, remember. Immediately after learning it, and then at least once more within the conversation. Helps them feel valued and really remembered.
And seventh, recall one specific detail. Before you end a conversation, mention something unique you learned from them. It shows you truly listened and you valued what they shared. That's the little-known fact exit.
Remember, great conversationalists aren't born. They're definitely made through practice. This deep dive, it isn't about being someone you're not. It's about being the most confident, engaging, and genuinely interested version of yourself. Start with just one of these tips today. Just one. Observe the reactions you get. I bet you'll notice people leaning in, connecting with you in really profound ways.
Yeah, and this raises kind of an important question, doesn't it? If every single interaction is an opportunity to make someone feel uniquely valued, what hidden doors might you unlock just by showing genuine interest? Maybe consider approaching each new conversation almost like a little social experiment. Observe the profound difference these seemingly small behaviors can make in your connections, and maybe even in how you see yourself.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep making those memorable impressions.
Subscribe to Quick Wisdom Catalyst. Like, share, and comment on this video. Confident communication starts now.